2018 is here, and it's time to figure out what in the world are you going to do this year that's the same, it's different, it's better than you did in 2017. And here on Prof Sales, this channel in our business, we only have one objective. What is it? Well, stick around and we'll tell you. Welcome everyone to the Prof Sales YouTube channel. I am Prof Sales.
And I am Just Ask Kaaren, I guess is what it says. And we are here to pump you up. No, I think one of our goals should be to check before we hit send, because apparently I'm making it's time to tart instead of start. I need to get better about that. That's my fault.
What are you talking about? Oh, what you type, time to tart.
So it's a new code
I don't even know
word.
what that means.
We're tarting over here. That's what we're doing. So
anyway, never say that again. So
first go around, this is a live show that we do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whatever that S and T stand for.
Even really means.
Exactly. So if you're watching this later, in the live version, we have a live chat going on, which we often sometimes awkwardly interact with, but we do interact with it all the time. So we'll have a time later in the show where people will pose questions and we'll try to answer them as best we can and spell things correctly, etc., etc.
Yes. And if you are here for the first time, leave us a question or comment after this video post. We'd like to hear from you what you thought. Good, bad, or otherwise, doesn't matter. We do appreciate feedback and we try to respond to it best we can. So please leave that question and comment
down below.
I am pretty much getting over my cold, whatever, but I may have a little clearing in my throat. I'll try to spare you guys best I can. And this will not be a super long show today because she's got to leave.
Yep, all my fault. Ben has to go to work, whatever.
Right, and it's just not the same when she's not here. So, 2018 has already upon us. It's already a week into it. And we never really talked to you guys too much about what our goals were for 2018, what our objectives were. Mainly because last week I was feeling pretty rough and wasn't able to come on live for very long. And instead of going through a whole big long list of things, I realized earlier, I guess probably about 2 weeks ago, but even last week too, I realized in my fever-induced state that I really only have one goal for 2018.
Only one goal, Prof. Do tell. What is it?
And I gotta say, this cramps. Oh, I'm sorry, I hit the table. This really cramps my style because, as many of you know, I tend to be a numbers and statistics and analysis and data and metrics kind of guy. So coming up with just one goal, one thing I really wanted to focus on probably seems counterintuitive. Maybe some would say counterproductive. I know some of you are out there and you've made these big long lists for 2018, or maybe you haven't, maybe they're not even long lists, but you've made these detailed, spelled out, I'm going to do this and I'm going to go after that. And I, I respect all that. And I can see value for that in a lot of people, but I realized that all of those goals for me really basically just came back to one thing.
Only one thing? What is it?
So for me, it just boiled down to one simple concept, and that's growth. It's growth. And growth in specific areas and specific ways. But I realized that there was no way I could encapsulate everything I wanted to do in 2018 and spell out in detail. There was no way to do that. And for a lot of reasons. One, because it's a lot of stuff and it's hard to spell out a lot of stuff. And I don't really know how impactful that would be to have this big long, here's these 74 things I'm going to do this year. And, you know, and then trying to stay focused on that would be very difficult. Two, I don't know about you guys, but I find that when I have a goal, a specific goal, and as I start walking the path towards that goal, all of a sudden it changes for me. What I thought was my goal may not be my goal any longer. I may go in a whole different direction. I have a different perception of how I'm going to get there, what there is going to be like. And it becomes sort of a wasted endeavor if I'm always just so dogmatic towards one specific, numeric goal or so on. And I know a lot of the resellers in this community for 2017, they had all these very specific sales goals and things like that. And I did as well. And most of us missed them. So we didn't hit them. Excuse me. Does that mean we're failures? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it means we're a failure. I just think it makes you realize that you cannot be so ultra specific with a goal that everything, your whole year is encapsulated by whether or not you achieve that or not.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And Illinois Picker brought up resolutions. And I think we've talked about that before, that, people get on this resolution train where, as we get towards the end of December, everybody thinks they're missing out if they're not making resolutions, or if they're not making these lofty or grand, or in many cases, very numerous, long lists, cumbersome even, of things that they'd like to get done.
Right.
And this whole concept of, and it kind of, it reminds me of, picking your word, like in church for the year. And I told you my word was better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in business, our word is going to be growth. And we're going to talk about how we're going to get there. But I think people, when you make certain goals for yourself, and some of them are, I think they can be idealistic for some people. It's one thing to say, I want to, make $1 billion.
Yeah.
But I think it's more impactful to discuss, how you're going to get there, or why you're going to get there. And I know we always go back to that, but when you make these big goals, these lofty, far off things that, it'd be nice if, well, wouldn't it be nice if you instead gifted yourself with something that was not only realistic, but beneficial, no matter what or how it plays out, right? You're not sort of putting yourself in if you made this goal that, I want to put up a 2,000 unit store for my eBay. I want to put 2,000 things into my store, right? Well, between January and December, a lot can happen. And we've seen that.
It does happen. It will happen.
Well, and not only in relation to that business, but in relation to, here you are going down the path, and then all of a sudden there's a fork in the road. And just because you take it doesn't mean you're any less dedicated, successful, or otherwise. So I think that centering everything around this, and it's funny that you start by saying, I'm this very numbers, spreadsheet oriented kind of guy. And it's sort of Prof intuitive to say that we're going to focus on growth, but we've been talking about it a lot. When you're cooped up in a house with a couple of people for a couple of months, this kind of conversation really sometimes is all you have. So we've had a lot of time to discuss this very thing. And I think the word growth, the idea of growth, fits very well into all of the things that we're talking about doing.
Agreed.
And it also gives us the flexibility. Here's the thing about goals. I noticed, and I watched some other people, either whether it was on the socials or YouTube or whatever, and I loved people that said, this is what I plan to do, but this is what happened.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that because I didn't meet my plan or my goal, that in any way do I look at it as a failure. But for some people, setting these goals and then not meeting them, it's very, it's very demotivating. Right?
Yeah. Did you fail because you didn't meet your goal?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. So this idea of, we want to be better, we want to grow. And, I'm going to still stick that better word in there, because it has to do, you can be better and you can grow in all the ways, honestly. It just depends on how you tweak it and mold it to that specific idea, right?
Yeah. And to be really honest with you, when I look back at our 2017 goals, which were more metric specific, I realized that eBay, for instance, fell off for us in the back half of last year. It did, no doubt about it. Like, our sales were much lower than they were in the first half of the year, and they had been in 2016. Mm-hmm. And there were some reasons for that. And these are not excuses. These were reasons, and they were choices. They were choices we made. You know, we got involved in creating the Killer Jeans Guide, which I think was a big success. The spreadsheet, for instance, we got involved in some other projects. There was some life events that took place that were not in our control. We could not have foreseen when the year started. And all those reasons. And again, no excuses, not asking for any sympathy. It's just what happened. So it reinforced this idea that having a very specific sales goal is limiting, because I could come on here and say, yeah, my sales goal for this year is to make $1 trillion in sales on eBay.
$1 trillion.
Now, if I say that and I come out publicly and say, my goal is to make $1 trillion, I'm going to get laughed out of the room, right? Mm-hmm. What if I say it's to make $1 billion? I'm going to get laughed out of the room. What if I say it's to make $1 million? Probably still going to get laughed out of the room. How about 100,000? Now, some people might start saying, well, that's maybe doable. How about 10,000? Oh, well, that's instantly doable. Like, why do we limit ourselves to some mythical number? I don't really understand that. When you really break it down, it's like we're already setting ourselves up to fail when we say, I can't reach this number, but I think I can reach this one. Why even go after a number at all? Just go after becoming more successful and growing. So our eBay business last year, which was primarily jeans and other clothing and shoes, mm-hmm. still had a 50% net profit margin, which is great. And I was really happy with that. Like, I mean, if you could have a 50% net margin, pre-tax margin, you're doing really well. And in any business, you're doing well. And that kind of reinvigorated me about some things. And it led me to some of these conclusions for 2018. So I'm not setting a sales goal number this year. No sales goal number, not going to do it, not in my control. It's too limiting. I'm either limiting myself. I'm either overreaching or underreaching, because who knows what I could really do. But we are going to set some growth goals for other things. All right. So I'm going to run through those, and you guys, maybe you'll have similar ones or something totally different. First thing we want to do, we are going to recommit to our eBay business. And we are going to grow our listings. We do have a specific number in mind for that, because that is something within our control. Mm-hmm. You can grow to a certain number of listings, you know, once you sort of figure out how to get there. But our goal is to grow our eBay listings to 2,000 in jeans, roughly, and 500 shoes. Mm-hmm. So 2,500 listings by the end of the year. And we think that kind of growth will give us great results. How much sales will it give us? I have no idea. I really don't. Like, if you sat here and said, Jason, we're going to pin you down, your life depends on nailing the number, how could I even possibly do that? I could take guesses, but I just don't know. I do know that last year, in the back half of the year, we were not listing hardly at all. We still were making sales, but not very great sales. And I think if we have more listings up this year, and we are listing and continue to tweak our listings, I think our sales will be really strong in the back half of the year. But I don't know what they'll be. I don't know how much we'll make with that. I don't know. I have no way to know that. So we are going to grow our eBay listings this year. That is on the agenda for 2018. And that's a pretty big increase from where we're at. We're at right around 1,000. So that's a big increase. It's like 150% increase.
Well, and we were up a lot higher than that. But, you know, like you said, the last part of the year, we kind of let the eBay part sort of.
Right. We were closer to like 1,300. Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel like 1,300 really even stretched us that much. Mm-mm. So I don't think, I mean, 2,500 is a stretch for sure. But that's our goal to grow to. We're going to continue to grow our YouTube video selection. We obviously are doing a show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We've started doing this little side niche of crypto videos on crypto investing, which will be cool. You guys can check that on the playlist. There's a playlist just for cryptocurrency. If you're not interested in that, that's cool too. But it's a cool, fun little challenge I've been involved in. And I think it's always interesting to diversify your revenue streams, go in other directions. And, that'll be fun.
Well, and with the crypto stuff, you're doing it kind of in a prof way. And I think you've already gotten a pretty good response from that. Like, yes, there's a spreadsheet, but it's an interesting, transparent spreadsheet at that, wouldn't you say? Like, you're kind of putting it all up there and you're going about it in your own prof way. And I think that's really cool.
Clarence Ninja asked, why not just have an end goal and then small goals to reach that end goal? I think that's a good question, but I think it goes back to the limiting nature of having a specific number that you want to hit. Because if I said to you, all right, so what's going to be your sales goal for this year? And you say $50,000, and you get to $50,000 on November 1st, are you going to put your store on vacation for 2 months? Your goal was limiting you. Strangely enough, like of course you would keep it open and keep doing more sales, right? Of course you would. So why even say, oh, I'm only going to do $50,000? You don't know what you can do. You might do 40,000. I mean, I have no way to know that. So why not just go after growth, and see where you get? And then you can make, because growth is always, by definition, you're always pushing yourself forward. I mean, that's growth. That's the definition of growth. So I just think having a specific number it goes back to that limiting mindset. And I don't think there's any reason to limit yourself on it.
And we're going to talk about the multiple streams that we have. So we're still not putting all of our eggs in one basket.
Right.
But I think maybe each stream, we're looking for each stream, whether it's eBay, YouTube, the other things that we're going to talk about, to at least have a minimum, right?
Right.
To make it worth our while. And then, I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, no, it doesn't, but we know what we have to do to pay our bills and then some, and reach the goals that we need. Right.
Yeah.
So we're kind of spreading our wings and spreading our streams, if you will, although that sounds really strange. I know, I know that sounds really weird, but we're kind of we're not putting it all in one place, but we are putting it out there in more than one place, and they're all going to come together.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
No, it
makes sense to me.
Does.
I don't know if it makes sense to anybody else.
A third way we plan to grow this year is to grow our print on demand business.
Yes. So currently we have Amazon merch, as a lot of you do. And there have been some changes with that. The great freeze came, and now it's starting to thaw out, and the Amazon price, there's some things that are changing.
Sure.
That we have no control over, just like with eBay or even USPS. Postage is going up. eBay is probably going to change some of their policies. Amazon merch, they've raised their prices. They've also added some things, hoodies, long sleeve, etc. But their prices are going up. So to be competitive, we're going to have to do some things there. But Amazon merch by Amazon is not the only print on demand service out there. So right. We are going to explore other places, and other print on demand websites and services, etc., have more than just clothing and shirts. And I'm kind of really looking forward to that, like bags and mugs and stuff. People can put whatever your design is on just about anything nowadays. So we're really looking to expand on that as well.
A fourth area we're going to grow this year is to grow a new niche on eBay. Now, this is not to suggest that we've mastered jeans or mastered shoes or anything like that, but I was never interested in mastering either one of those. And I don't think you ever really can. It's kind of an illusion.
I just heard this whip crack when you said that. Master the jeans.
Well, we have talked about the need to have a smaller footprint niche on eBay, because we've talked about this RV adventure going on, and going out and traveling the country. And if we do that, we obviously can't take a big, huge eBay inventory along with us. We need something smaller. So jewelry has been one of the things we've talked about potentially getting into. We haven't 100% settled on that, but we do think we're going to at least explore the possibility, because it kind of meets some of our criteria in terms of being small and mobile, and also good value, in terms of what you can sell and how much you can sell it for in certain cases. Granted, we know very, very little about it. Starting from scratch, but that could be fun in its own. And there's Tanya saying, "Hey, friends, jewelry." So on cue, there's Tanya. So awesome. How you doing?
Well, and Lauren, one of our wonderful wrenches, says to come back and visit her. Okay, I'll come tomorrow.
We'll come to Minnesota, but not right now, because I have a feeling it's like really cold.
too cold. Like
Too cold.
it was in the lower double digits here. Like it was 11.
Yeah, which in Charlotte is insane. So, you know, growing into a new niche is always exciting because you've got all these new things. You don't know much about it. You're having to learn all over again, which that always gets my creative juices and my educational juices going. So that's definitely a possibility for what we're going to go after jewelry wise, but I think it's a cool way to grow. Another way we intend to grow this year is our space.
Because Adam said about the footprint. Yeah. So I kind of speaking of wrenches, and I guess I don't mean to frustrate you by telling you a little without telling you all of it, because it's sort of evolved really quickly. And I don't have all the story to tell you yet. But where we were, yes, planning to just take off into the wild blue last year, we have an opportunity to partner with another reseller. And we actually have official meetings this week about that.
Official meetings.
But it involves a space outside of this house and sharing a space and creating something pretty special that will, yeah. So we have to have a mobile footprint at some point. Yes. But then we also need what we're affectionately calling a hub, right? And this would be our hub, our home base, if you will. And, you know, one of the challenges we've considered about going mobile, or what's it called? A nomad, whatever that term was. But, you know, how do we handle returns? How do we handle, that's a biggie, right? And that's one of the things that this new potentially shared space will allow us. So we'll keep you posted. And I hesitate out of respect to the other person that I can't really announce something that's not been
right. You're saying it perfectly, because there's still some details to work out, but we're excited about the potential, the possibility. We have talked about getting into a space. Don't get me wrong. There's great economic value to having your eBay business in your home. There's also great peace of mind value to having your eBay business out of your home. So there's advantages to both, but more so than that, if we want to scale this business up, you need space. I mean, you need space. You need space for storage. You need space for photographs. You need space. And, you know, we hadn't planned, like Kaaren said, on an opportunity laying itself at our feet, but it has. And is it one we're going to take and move forward with? Probably in some fashion. It's just going to depend on exactly what.
We're going to do something, and it's going to be, and I think I hinted at it last week in saying that, you know, we had this grand plan, and now I think I might have turned 90, maybe even 180 degrees away from that. But we've talked about a lot of the things that we're going to be able to implement if we make this happen the way we've been talking about, are things that we've been talking about all along. And it really speaks to, I think it's appealing to me and our potential partner, because we're going to be able to help people and also have our business. Like,
right.
And part of helping people is teaching them how to do what we do. Part of helping them is we're going to be able to pool our resources and have a small army of employees, you know, and good ones. And that's it's a huge challenge in this. You know, when you're reselling and you're, let's say eBay's your thing, you have a certain way that you do things. Listing is very intimate. It's specific to you, right? How you source, how you photograph. And a lot of people in our chat and in our circles have expressed frustration in, you know, how do I share this vision? How do I share my method, my manner with someone else? And the truth is, you can't 100% do that. You just can't. You can't clone yourself.
You can't.
But we're going to be in a position where we can, you know, it's important to us to give back. It's important to us to, you know, we're teaching Ben how to, you know, be a productive human, right? Well, this is an opportunity where through our employees, they're going to be working in this new thingy that we're setting up. but we're also teaching them, we're giving them skills. So this is, I don't mean to be all mysterious, but we're trying to fit a lot of things together in the same space, but we're finally coming into contact with somebody that has the same vision.
Right.
And it's very exciting. So after tomorrow, maybe even Wednesday, we'll have more to talk about that. But it's just an opportunity where, we've talked about having more jeans, more shoes, more whatever. And there's only so much we can do out of this home. Now, like you said, this opportunity has just sort of landed in our lap, and we're like, huh, like really giving us reason to pause and say, you know what, we can still do the things that we were planning to do mobilely, but then do this in addition. And how cool is it going to be when or so?
No, and you're exactly right. And this goes back to, we didn't have a goal to do any of this, but the situation arose and we decided that it would be foolish not to explore it and take advantage of it. And that's how life is, right? I mean, you're just living your life one day and then everything changes. And sometimes it's incremental, but sometimes it's just literally overnight or very quickly. And you have to decide, hey, is this the right direction for me to go? And so we've been thinking about it quite a bit, but we've decided that we have to explore this. If we don't do it now, there won't be a better time. There isn't a really better time. There's just now.
Yeah. And so just trust that we are going to update. And maybe we shouldn't have said anything at all, but we're kind of excited about it and we're like little kids. And so we couldn't not say,
right.
But just trust that out of respect to, some other folks, we can't just say, yeah, let's just move on. So one of the things that isn't on the list is, that's if that's our last one. I mean, we're also continuing with our meetups. We have one in March 10th, I think. We're going to Durham and we're very excited about that. Those are always the best times. So we're definitely going to be spending more time on our, and it speaks to our network, this community that we're a part of and that we're working very hard to keep strong and build strong and to give growth and make better opportunities like that. So we're going to have that meetup in March, and then we'll probably have a couple other ones as well. So we're looking forward to that.
And it's interesting that, you mentioned meetups because that's kind of where we've networked and met people that have led us to some of these other opportunities. And, reselling by definition tends to be one of the more soul adventures, lonely, a lot of people would call it, but it doesn't have to be if you put yourself out there and you decide that you want to connect with others. That comes at risk, but there's risk in everything. And there's risk too for when, people, you totally distracted me there. Sorry.
I know. It was just kind of like,
so that's good. But anyway, there's a risk in, being alone all the time and not learning from others. And so these meetups have been a great blessing. So I'm looking forward to doing a few more of those this year.
And kind of putting a twist on some of them too. We're going to do some kind of fun stuff, different stuff with that too.
Yes. And the last big area where we will grow this year is in our knowledge. And that's one that we tend to forget about. Like we always tend to think about, I'm going to put up more listings and source more things and take more photos and sell all the things and do this and do that. But what are you going to learn this year? Are you just going to learn by chance, or are you going to be proactive and take steps to learn about things that can help your mindset, that can help your tactics, can help your strategy? And so I've committed to doing a lot more reading and education of myself this year because that's something I've always loved to do anyway. I guess it's sort of the teacher in me. I think all good teachers really want to learn as much as they want to teach. But I've committed to spending more time doing that this year. And there's other things that I will cut out that were not very productive that will take the place of, committing to your education. So I think it's important every day even that you're trying to learn something about yourself, about this business, about the people in your lives. I mean, because there's opportunities out there if you just grab them. But a lot of us just sort of go along and we become very reactive every day. And we just think, oh, well, what I need to know will just come to me. Yeah, sometimes it comes to you in the face of it, like in the way it like slaps you in the face. You're like, oh, that was not a great way to learn that lesson. It would have been nice to have learned that a different way. So why not go out there and educate yourself, learn from other people who've walked down similar paths and so on. And you're not going to be them, but you can learn from them. So I've really committed to doing that this year and becoming a lot better about that, about spending some time to read and educate myself.
Well, and what's interesting about us having and hopefully it's not frustrating for y'all for us to make a goal of just growth, because I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to share what our growth looks like as we progress. Instead of saying, okay, we want to make $1,000 a month and we want to list 250 things, you know what I mean? Like putting numbers on them. Then all we're doing really is going back and forth, and we're just sharing progress or non-progress with you.
Yeah.
So if we're telling you that our goal is to grow, think of the myriad ways we can express that to you, and share with you the ways that we're doing it. And sometimes us growing is going to mean that maybe we're not going to succeed along the way, that we're going to have, of course, not maybe, but definitely we're going to have some failures along the way. Right.
Right.
And if you're new to this channel, the one thing that we will always say is that nothing is a waste. Like every opportunity, every situation, everything that you do towards growing your business, whether it works out or it doesn't, is a learning opportunity. Yes, because you're learning what to do and certainly what not to do. And all of that goes into making you and forecasting your success as you go forward.
Yeah. And, I think one of the, along with what you just said, one of the pitfalls a lot of us fall into is when we are thinking about doing something new, something different, something maybe a little uncomfortable, we kind of search for the wrong things. We often search, and I've found myself in this trap many times. We search for how it felt for people instead of what we actually needed to do. And because here's what happens. Most people who really succeed at something don't tell you that much about it. They don't brag about it. They don't push it out there. There are exceptions, but for the most part, when people are really successful at something, they just keep on keeping on. They keep their nose to the grindstone, so to speak, right? And sometimes you can get them to share what they learned and so on, but a lot of times they're kind of busy doing it. The people you hear from in terms of a certain endeavor usually are the ones who failed at it, at least in their eyes, whatever failure means to them. And they complain about it. They talk about how awful it was and all the horrible parts of it. And I don't really know what you learn from that. I mean, there are things in life that if somebody goes through, you probably just logically don't need to go through to understand they would not be good for you. If someone jumps off a cliff and they get really hurt, you probably don't need to jump off the proverbial cliff with them to experience for yourself. It's not going to be a great experience. But a lot of other things, like somebody was saying dumpster diving or selling jewelry on eBay or deciding to get involved with FBA on Amazon. I mean, those sorts of things, you're going to have to experience them on some level yourself. There's no way I or anyone else on YouTube can come on here and tell you exactly what it's going to be like. Like that's a trap that I think a lot of people in this community fall into. They come onto YouTube and they want advice about something, but what they really want to hear is, am I going to succeed or not? And no one can tell you that. Anyone who tells you you absolutely are going to succeed or you absolutely are going to fail is full of crap. Because how do we know? Like, I don't know if you're going to succeed or not. I don't even know what success means to you. It means something different to you than it does to me. So I have no way to know that. Neither does anyone else. So at some point, you just got to put yourself out there, experience all the good, the bad, and the ugly along the way that comes with it, and then make a decision based on your own experiences.
You know that he's all riled up and passionate and on his Prof sales box when he starts Prof sales soapbox, when he starts cursing. And crap is just about as bad as it's going to get on YouTube. Right?
That's true. And that's probably as bad as we get there. So, don't be afraid, guys, this year or any year to go out and experience something new. Grow in a different direction. Growth is going to be painful sometimes. It's going to come at a price for sure. But it's the only way really you experience things. It's the only way really you can find what really drives you and does it for you. you have to grow. Because at some point, whatever you're doing right now, at some point, you weren't doing that. At some point, you didn't know how to do that. At some point, that was foreign to you. That was difficult to you. It seemed maybe even magical to you. Like, how in the world do people do this? And now you know, and you took your lumps along the way, and that's the way it's gonna be with something new, just like it'll be this year.
Yep. And so now that we've put out into the reseller universe what our goal is, our limited one-word goal.
Very limited.
I think we can move forward now, right? And so we don't have to worry about, subjects for videos being, what ifs and how comes. And now we can get back to brass tacks, right?
Yeah. Don't play the numbers comparison game this year. You could compare your numbers to yourself because that's going to indicate growth. But anybody else or some magical number that you've pulled out of thin air, it's silly. Just look at how you're doing versus what you knew before and how you're doing before. And you may even go backwards sometimes. If you all of a sudden took down all your listings on eBay or all your listings on Amazon and then started selling some whole other product line, you may do far worse than you did in previous months or years, right? You might. But maybe long-term, that's the right strategy for you. Maybe. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know that if we're in an RV, there's no way we're going to cart around 2,000 pairs of jeans and 500 pairs of shoes.
We're not. We couldn't make like a mattress, so denim.
We would have to sleep on the jeans and the shoe. That would take up the RV pretty much. There would be no room for anything else. And the RV would have to be like 150 feet long. But, there would be no room for that. So I know that in that sort of lifestyle, we're not going to be jeans and shoe sellers necessarily.
You know how some people will put like pet-friendly home in their description or whatever? How on earth would we articulate, we sleep on denim, we sleep on your jeans, but that's okay.
These jeans have only been slept on once. Barely slept on,
boy.
like new. So, that's kind of funny. We're making our own jokes here. I don't know if anybody else is laughing, but we're laughing at them.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes. All right. So now that we've put out there into the reseller universe that we are just going to grow, come along with us for what that looks like. And yes, Ed, there will be details. I don't know if that was meant for us or someone else, but in making a goal growth, we will most certainly be able to share what that looks like and how we're going to do it. Right?
And we're going to be challenging you guys. We're going to be asking you guys, how have you grown today? How have you grown this week? What have you learned? What's improved? Maybe what was a learning lesson? That's fine.
And there'll probably be a t-shirt. I'm sure there'll be hashtags, right? But, you'll probably get tired of hearing that word. But maybe this time next year, you can all look back as we will and say, yeah, we grew. And this is what it looked like. And this is
how I grew.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. You're excited about it. So thanks for coming. If you liked what you saw or your favorite color is blue, hit the like button, mateys. Arrgh. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks for coming. And as always, this is Just Ask Kaaren.
And Prof Sales
saying good sales to you.